In May 2025, the United States quietly flipped a switch. American officials banned the export of one specific component to China. Just one component. And in 8 weeks, the biggest commercial aircraft program China has ever attempted nearly collapsed. They were supposed to deliver 75 jets that year. They delivered 13. 13. Now here's what that number actually means. China spent 17 years and an estimated $70 billion building its own commercial airliner, designed to end Boeing and Airbus's stranglehold on the sky. And a single export ban brought the entire program to its knees. Because the engines powering that airliner? American. The supply chain? Western. The independence China had spent decades claiming? An illusion. But here's the part that should genuinely terrify every aviation executive in the West. In the last 12 months, China broke into the most exclusive manufacturing club on Earth. And they did it in a way that makes the old rules completely irrelevant. Before we get to what China actually built, you need to understand what they were breaking into. If you've flown on a commercial airliner in the last 50 years, your engines came from one of 4 companies. GE, Aerospace, Safran, Rolls-Royce, Pratt & Whitney. 4 companies. That's the entire global market for large commercial jet engines. That is a tighter monopoly than smartphone chips, tighter than advanced semiconductors, tighter than almost any critical technology you can name. The engine on the Boeing 737 MAX, CFM International, a joint venture between GE and Safran, the Airbus A320neo, same company, or Pratt & Whitney, and the engine on the Chinese C919, the aircraft specifically designed to challenge Western aviation dominance, also CFM International, the exact same American-French engine, bolted onto Chinese wings. China spent over a decade and tens of billions of dollars building its own airliner, and they had no choice but to put Western engines on it, because there was no alternative. Here's why that monopoly was so impenetrable. Building a modern, high-bypass turbofan is arguably the hardest mass manufacturing problem on Earth. You're building a machine that runs at temperatures hotter than the melting point of its own metal. That spins at over 10,000 rotations per minute. That ingests 1.5 tons of air every single second, reliably, for tens of thousands of flight hours. With human lives on board, the manufacturing knowledge to do that takes 30 to 50 years to accumulate. You have to fail and fail again until you finally stop failing. That's why only 4 companies do it. Not patents, not secrecy, time. No country outside that club had ever successfully done it for a modern commercial jet. Not Japan, not Germany, not the Soviet Union at its industrial peak. Nobody. Then something shifted. In May 2025, the US suspended export licenses for the LEAP-1C, the only engine certified to fly on the C919. 2 months of suspension. The result was catastrophic. Comac had planned 75 deliveries. They managed 13. Imagine spending 17 years and $70 billion on your own airliner, then watching a foreign government switch off your entire supply chain with a single press release. That's the moment Beijing understood what it had long suspected. As long as Chinese aircraft fly on American engines, China doesn't have a sovereign aviation industry. It has a hostage. And that's where the Yangtze comes in. This is the CJ-1000A, Changjiang, Yangtze, named after the great river that divides China. A high-bypass turbofan, 1.95 meters in diameter, 3.29 meters long, designed to produce around 28,000 pounds of thrust. It represents something that hasn't happened in 5 decades. The first time any country outside the Western aerospace establishment has built a modern, high-bypass turbofan in this thrust class, with a credible path to powering a global commercial airliner. Compare it to the LEAP-1C it's designed to replace. The LEAP-1C is 1.98 meters in diameter, 3.32 meters long. Same 2-spool architecture, same high-pressure compressor configuration. The dimensions are nearly identical, and that's not an accident. The CJ-1000A is engineered from the ground up to be a drop-in replacement, so the C919 doesn't need to be redesigned around it. But here's where it gets revolutionary. Look inside the fan section. 18 hollow titanium wide-chord fan blades. Not solid, hollow. Solid titanium at that size would be prohibitively heavy. Manufacturing a hollow titanium fan blade requires a process called superplastic forming and diffusion bonding, a technique Rolls-Royce spent decades perfecting and treated as one of its most closely guarded industrial secrets. China just reproduced it, and the fuel nozzles inside the combustion chamber? 3D printed. Additive manufacturing for commercial jet engine components is something GE only commercializes within the last decade, after years of development with their LEAP program. China is doing it now too. These aren't incremental improvements. These are the precise technologies that made it structurally impossible for any outside nation to enter this market for half a century. and China has reproduced them end to end with a domestic supply chain. Here's where everything flips upside down. The CJ1000A is not as good as the LEAP 1C. Aviation analysts are consistent on this. Its bypass ratio is lower, meaning it burns more fuel per flight. Its core architecture is closer in lineage to a 1990s GECF M56 than the cutting-edge LEAP family. Component durability at scale remains uncertain. It is almost certainly heavier per unit of thrust. By every Western metric of propulsion performance, this engine is at least a generation behind. And China doesn't care. The CJ1000A doesn't need to win a fleet efficiency competition at Singapore Airlines. It just needs to be good enough to fly Chinese airlines on Chinese domestic routes. And China has the largest domestic aviation market on the planet, over 1 billion air passenger trips per year, growing at rates Western carriers haven't seen since the 1970s. Most of those routes are under 3 hours. Most airlines are state-owned, and the Chinese government has both the authority and the motivation to mandate adoption. So while Western engineers benchmarked thrust-to-weight ratios and fuel burn percentages, Beijing was measuring something entirely different: strategic independence. The CJ1000A could be 15% less fuel efficient than the LEAP 1C, and it would still be the most strategically valuable engine China has ever built, because nobody in Washington can switch it off. This is where the Western aviation establishment made its fatal mistake. They were so focused on the performance gap that they completely missed the strategic escape. Boeing and Airbus are still debating whether the C919 is a real competitive threat globally. They're right that it isn't, yet, but that's the wrong question. The right question is whether China is building an aviation industry immune to Western economic pressure by 2035. And the answer is looking increasingly like yes. As of mid-2026, here's the actual status of this program. Flight testing began in March 2023 when the engine was mounted on a Xi'an Y-20 military transport for in-flight validation. By March 2025, China's Aerospace Certification Authority announced that campaign was complete. Verification flights on an actual C919 airframe are still underway. According to a January 2026 assessment from OAG Aviation Worldwide, certification and initial commercial deliveries are projected for 2027 or 2028. Mass production is not expected before 2030. The original timeline was 2016. The program is roughly a decade behind its first projections. That matters, and it should be acknowledged honestly. But even a decade late, China is the only country in the last 50 years to reach this point. And then there's a development from January 2026 that almost nobody in the Western press covered properly. 2 test pilots from the European Aviation Safety Agency quietly flew to Shanghai and began verification flights on the C919. EASA certification is the gateway to global export markets: Europe, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, Africa, Latin America. If the C919 earns EASA approval, and if the CJ1000A eventually follows, this stops being a story about Chinese domestic aviation. It becomes a fundamental restructuring of the global aerospace supply chain. By 2040, analysts project narrow-body deliveries from Chinese manufacturers could capture between 15 and 25% of the global market, provided certification timelines hold. That represents hundreds of billions in orders that Boeing and Airbus currently treat as guaranteed. The Western aviation monopoly held for 50 years because 3 pillars remained intact. Capital requirements were so enormous, no challenger could fund entry. Engineering complexity was so deep that knowledge took generations to accumulate, and the global certification system was controlled by Western regulators who could slow or block foreign entrants. China has deployed the capital, it is solving the engineering, and it is forcing its way into the certification system, slowly, imperfectly, but visibly and persistently. Each of those 3 pillars is cracking. This is what the end of an industrial monopoly looks like in the real world. It doesn't happen at a press conference. It happens in a test cell in Shanghai at 3 in the morning. It happens on a Y-20 flying circuits over a military airfield. It happens in a quiet European inspector's logbook filed in January 2026, recording flights most of the world didn't notice. The CJ1000A is not the best jet engine in the world. It probably never will be. But it is the engine that ended the Western monopoly on commercial aviation propulsion. And that is a reality we will live with for the next 50 years. Because China isn't stopping here. There's already a second engine in active development, the CJ2000, designed for the C929, China's direct challenger to the Boeing 787 and Airbus A350 wide-body market. The narrow-body fight is consequential enough, but the wide-body story, the transatlantic routes, the trans-Pacific flights, the premium cabins where Boeing and Airbus make their real margins, That story is already being written in a laboratory you've never heard of. And that's exactly what we're covering next.